Always fresh and a little bit sticky. Keep it down, Cannabis Wiki. We're always fresh and a little bit sticky. The green room on Cannabis Wiki.
Hello and welcome to the Green Room from the Cannabis Wiki Conference and Expo in London, Ontario, year 2. Yay! The crowd goes wild. We made it to second year. Oh, our next guest, David Hyde from Hyde
Advisory.
Do you know that I only did it? I only did it because it drives Derek crazy that I just can't get a name straight. Like, I just can't get a name straight. And that's my job, to introduce people. Welcome to the Green Room.
It's great to be back.
Thank you. Yeah, we haven't chatted with you in a little while. Yeah, it's been a while. And the state of the industry since last we've chatted.
Just on a panel here at the great conference here, Jackie, talking about the state of the industry. And look, it's a challenging time out there for many aspects of the industry. I think that more than ever, we've seen some failures, some consolidation in the industry. Mm-hmm. We've also seen LPs have to become more creative in terms of how they source funding, how they navigate things together. They found creative partnerships where LPs that are in difficulty, maybe they have some things missing and this LP has things missing, and you get the 1 + 1 = 3 kind of concept where they can bring their slightly broken companies together in a way, and they can actually make things work. They can find ways to partnership.
Collaboration.
Exactly.
Yes.
It all comes down to that. And the more we move forward and the troubled times will continue for a while longer, unfortunately, I think that collaboration is going to become more and more key.
Is what is going on here, are we dealing with that globally as well? Do you find that?
No, not so much. No, look, we're dealing with it in the US. So some of the US states, which are really like microcosms of the California market is as big as Canada's, if not bigger. They've been through this and they've had these struggles, and there are US states that have had this hyper competition, the price compression, and the failures of some companies. Globally, it's very different. The capital is constrained. It's difficult to find investment capital to grow these companies. But apart from that, it's kind of like Canada was in 2014 to 15, 16, where there's a lot of excitement, a lot of focus on medical cannabis, on patients, and on finding ways to stand up businesses that can compete in the global market. And so it's a very different picture than it is here, but it's exciting. So I come from a Canadian show where there's a bit of doom and gloom and we're in this together, and there's a fight in the room to go to the global market, and everyone's wide-eyed and everyone's like going pep in their step, and they're raring to go and looking for this great new business opportunity. It's really a tale of two worlds to a degree.
So does it feel more like 2016, 2017 when you go to like an emerging state or an emerging country?
It totally does. And I remember those glory years. I mean, when I remember the first show I was at, there was like 6 booths. I was one of 6 booths, and now we've come to these obviously larger shows. But back then there was that kind of crazy I'm going to call it green rush, but for the right reasons. People that believed in the plant and saw, hey, this could be actually a business, and cannabis could become normalized and destigmatized, and this can really go somewhere. And it was a medical focus then.
Right.
Then it shifted to a rec focus. Right now, Europe global is very, very medical focused. The rec focus with Germany's recent announcement not to go full legalization, but to take a little mini step with a little pilot project and some home growing, that kind of tempered the whole rec furor that's out there. And people are really understanding the global market right now is a medical market primarily. Rec's probably 5-10 years out at least.
Right.
Wow. So what do you think that Canada was, are we waiting on the US legalized? Like, what's going to be the catalyst? Because it seems like Canada got out of the gate good, but now everything's pulling back. How do you see it? And like, how can Canadians, help globally? Like, because we've learned the lessons here. So is there an opportunity for Canadians globally, or?
There's a huge opportunity for Canadians, but I think it's going to take 2 things. First of all, it's being patient in this next year and surviving these difficult times. The reality is there are too many LPs, taxes are too high, and it's too hard to turn a profit. So in that kind of environment, you hunker down, you reduce your costs, and you survive. Okay, so let's get through the next year to 18 months. If you're still standing, in a year to 18 months, definitely part of the future, and you should be thinking about it now and planning it now, is to how do you export the Canadian cannabis knowledge? How do you export our IP? A number of Canadian companies now realize they can't sell flower B2B in Canada because the prices are way too low. They're now exporting. There's never been as many LPs in Canada exporting into the global market as there are now. So that there are opportunities for LPs, but you've got to plan for it, and you've really got to, get out to these global markets and figure out, like, they're all very different. Is my best market Germany? Is it Portugal? Is it Greece? Is it Israel, Australia? All these markets are evolving, but they're difficult nuts to crack if you're not boots on the ground in those areas.
What about Dubai? Is that going medically legal, or is anything happening there?
Out that way, we've been working actually on some hemp projects in that region, specifically in the UAE. And so there is some focus on hemp. There is no kind of appetite for THC at all in that environment. So it's very much an industrial hemp and zero THC model right now. Will they get to a low, like a CBD type market? It's possible, but they view CBD a similar vein in Canada as THC equivalent. They don't kind of separate the two to a degree.
Right.
Wow. Okay. So you were talking about like the globally. When they look at Canada and they look at our legalization and regulations and stuff, are people laughing at us, or are they copying? Like, are they? I don't know, because I think we're overregulated. I think it's too tight. It's too strict. You can't bank. You can't, like, there's all these things going on.
It seems like there's still a stigma 5 years later.
We're 5 years in. Is the world laughing at us, or are they looking to us?
I think they're laughing out loud, but they're quietly looking at us. If that makes sense. Although totally. So when I go to conferences and talk about Canada's experience, this and that, very often people are saying, like, look, you guys messed it up. Who are you to be preaching to the world about this? Your medical program went down the toilet when legalization came. The medical patient numbers went down when adult rec came along. Why did that happen? Are you servicing your patients cohorts, or are they going to bud tenders to get their medicine? So there's many things that Canada got wrong. The excise tax is too high, the limits of inedible products, on and on and on and on we go. However, Canada has done a lot of things, has learned a lot of things, and did some things right. So I think there is definitely potential. When you get asked about this, or what, Canadian experience, I always say, look, we learned a lot about how to cultivate at scale. We learned a lot about how to navigate some of the challenges of the industry. And now Canada, if you extract the good experiences and the positivity out of Canada, it can be an incubator for global markets, but you've got to be selective. You can't just copy it, right?
You got to be selective. And when you say that, you got to be selective, what do you mean? What do you like?
Well, again, it's this industry is built on the backs of legacy, right? Legacy market in Canada is what we, really are here because of those folks that built that kind of pioneering, the knowledge of cultivation, of extraction, all the things in cannabis. Much of it was learned through the legacy market. So what I'm seeing now, Canada very much stiff-armed the legacy market at the beginning. They didn't want the legacy market involved. There was actually security clearance requirements, and there was a real pushback against legacy being involved in the legal market, which was awful and terrible. Now, when you wind forward and see other countries now, like Barbados, countries in Europe, actually embracing it, New York's new regs, embracing the legacy market, realizing that there has to be that whole ethos involved. And that's really where it needs to begin. So that's a major learning that from the experience in Canada, where the legacy market was not brought in at the beginning, and they've had to fight to get themselves in, and they're much more embraced and part of it now. But it was not the way back in medical legalization from 2013 to 2018. So that's one big learning. In addition, it's just the how to commercialize cannabis in an ecosystem of products. It's not just a smokable flower. Europe and global markets are very health conscious, so they don't want just a smokable side. They want vape. They want alternate product forms that doctors will prescribe. So a lot of the focus is what we've done in Canada with concentrates, with alternative product forms, inhalation, etc. That's all transferable readily to the global markets, and there's good commercial value there for Canadian companies.
We're learning from our mistakes and our successes.
Finally, about time.
Yes.
So who is your perfect client? Who comes to you? Who are you looking for? Who looks for you?
Yeah, I think really, Jackie, what we've evolved into is really like a problem solver. So, we
Clearly
really,
very knowledgeable on the industry and the state of the industry.
yeah, I mean, look, we're consultants at heart. We spent the first 6 years immersed in Canada. We got 3/4 of the LPs licensed. We worked through all those difficulties. Now we're in a place where the LPs are struggling. So for the last 4 years, I've worked in the M&A space, in the restructuring area, and how to right-size these businesses. So we get companies that come to us in Canada, globally, and say, look, I'm trying to be successful here commercially, but I can't dial this in. I can't find money. We're going to help them to find money. I can't dial in my commercial strategy. I'm missing something. I don't know enough about these global markets. Can you bring me some knowledge about Germany or Portugal or Israel, whatever it is? So we're really brokers of understanding and knowledge. Sometimes we have the knowledge inside these graying hairs or whatever it is. Other times we don't. It's partners that we have that we've met along the way. We separate the people that are in it for the right reasons and the people that are in it, for a short time. And we work with great partners, and we can bring them into the fold and work with our customers to really get into the lanes they need to get to.
Where are you most excited about launching? Like, where are you most excited about bringing cannabis to?
Yeah, I mean, I want to bring but I think we need to bring medical cannabis back in
Okay.
Canada.
In Canada?
Yeah.
So what does that look like?
Well, what it looks like is, first of all, is being able to access it in a way that is not only the mail order model, right? So we need pharmacies into the mix. Doctors and pharmacists that understand more about cannabinoid therapy, and they're prepared and educated to actually talk to patients about this and bring them into the system. Right now, it's very, very challenging, and it's all on mail order, and it's all, kind of poo-pooed by mainstream medical channels. So that's one area that I believe is so critical.
And what does that do? So like that, because then it can be covered. Is that why? Because then we can bring in the insurance money. It can be covered by their work or something. People can use it as like instead of using OxyContin, they could be prescribed cannabis, and then that'll
I think the
stimulate
advice
it. Is
too,
that it?
because bartenders are not allowed to give health-related advice, right?
That's right.
So
That's exactly what it's about. You're right there. It is about getting the right advice, getting the right type of prescription that you would need to make this cannabinoid therapy successful, and it is the ability to recoup those costs on insurance. And there are groups in Canada where employers that do allow an insurance payment for medical cannabis. Right, if you go into the adult rec market, into the stores, you can't get that, right? So
Right.
it is both of those two things. Right now, a lot of the medical patients, they have found it unwieldy to navigate the medical cannabis market in Canada, and instead they've gone to the rec market because a lot of LPs turned their back on the medical market when rec came along, because it costs more for LPs to service the medical market. You have to have customer sales agents on. You deal with multiple patients. Sometimes they have need more time and energy. So you're dealing on a patient by patient level. Whereas
what
on the
about
rec
these,
side,
like,
you're dealing with the board,
Right.
the province. It's not individuals. Sorry.
What about these people, like, say, like a Mendo or what's the other one? Herbal Dispatch. Like, where it's like they're basically curating product from multiple LPs to then bring it into theirs to kind of, so it's like a medical marketplace. Like, what do you think about that? And like, is there potential there or what?
There's huge potential, and that really is where the medical market is gathering around right now. That's the success. That's the only success story there is.
Right.
And so what I'm hoping that we can do on that is build on that more. We can get away from the only home Canada Post type delivery to the door. We can get to a model where actually pharmacists can be involved in interfacing with medical patients, and you combine like a Mendo type medical herbal dispatch approach with pharmacists being involved and that kind of thing. Like Hybrid Farms is a great example of the kind of approach that we should have. Now we have a market that we can service, we can educate, but it's educating the medical professionals too. And so often what's missing, like Mendo and those guys can't do much to educate the medical profession. Right. So it does need to be driven by our regulator, by Health Canada, in terms of how we move the medical market forward and allow patients access to this medicine. And you're right, it will supplant more and more opioids, but it won't in the current system that we have.
Yeah. And I think that, like, kind of how the medical framework is that patients don't want to be stuck with just one LP, and that's why the Mendo and them are getting traction, because then I have to transfer my license if I want this one, or the LP is working with the other LP, faxing over the order, then they're like, it's just a mess, right? So it's just so much easier if they can get it into their storage and then ship it out and get it to the customer quicker. But I think when that becomes like a delivery or something, then what happens then? Because like, if the more access that the medical is, then what do you think is going to happen then to the retailers? Because like you're saying, a lot of patients are like, they have no choice but to go to the retailer if they want to get the product that they want.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's going to be enough to go around, right? There's going to be enough adult recreational users that don't partake of the medical stream. I'm not seeing a day anytime soon when retailers are worried about the medical market taking all the clients away. That's not a concern for me.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the concern is, yes, we have these medical marketplaces. If they can deliver, ideal. That's what we'd like to see, a more easy method. But again, what we're missing out right now in Canada is the education of doctors and pharmacists. There are far too doctors. When you talk to people who have Parkinson's disease, people who are dealing with serious ailments, their doctors often say to them, I'm sorry, I can't talk to you about medical cannabis at all. If you want to talk to that, go talk to Dr. so-and-so around the corner, or they won't even give you a referral. Like they won't help you. You have no choice but to go to a dispensary and say, hey, like I'm kind of not finding what I need here. And no diss to the bud tenders. Many of them are knowledgeable and they do try to help.
But
these
they're not
are
allowed
people
to.
they're not allowed to, but sometimes they do quietly on the side because they're human beings first, and they want to help this person that's presenting with this ailment, but they have to be very careful. And secondly, these are people with complex medical challenges. They need professional advice, but unfortunately, the medical community isn't servicing them in this country. It's really sad.
What do you say about the growing side of it, like where there was patients, they can have 400 plants because they say they're juicing the cannabis, and there's some abuse there going on to then supply the illicit chain. What do you say about that?
I mean, look, there's always going to be that potential there, right? I mean, at the end of the day, people need to be able to grow at home, and there should be, as there is under the ACMPR now, the ability for patients to come together and nominate a grower to grow their medical prescription. I fully support that. There's going to be some abuse. There always has, but it's better today than it was.
Right.
In the old days of the MMAR, going back, again, many patients were well served, but there was the much of the black market, the legacy market back then, but I'm going to call it the black market because it was where people were making a ton of money and didn't care about health.
Right.
That market was serviced in a way by the MMAR growers, right? So we've got away a little bit from that now, and I think the black market, the bad black market elements have constricted. I think the latest stats are that round about half the cannabis in Canada is purchased from the legal market. That's quite a good stat to have achieved. And I think that what that means is that more of the people that are growing on the legacy side are legitimately growing for people that need the medicine, which is good.
What do you think about the sovereign market, where we're seeing that sovereign dispensaries are now coming into not just on the reserve, but coming into the cities? We have 2 in London now. And it's a big concern from some of the retailers because they're advertising, say, $20 ounces, no tax. Obviously, it's not tested and stuff. So, but what are you hearing about that from, your customers?
Yeah, that's definitely a challenge when it comes off reserve, right? So when it's on reserve, that's one thing. We're good.
Yeah.
When it comes off reserve, I see it as a growing challenge. I'm seeing now also some First Nations groups looking at purchasing into the regulated legal space and the store side. Of course, there are LPs too, which is great.
Yep.
But we have to keep those two to a degree. Those markets separate. It would not be reasonable, in my view, to allow on-res rules to come off of the reserve and really compete with the market on equal footing in cities and provinces in Canada. I think that there can be 2 markets, and I think that's fine. And people who want to go on-res to buy cannabis can do that.
Right.
But I don't think that it should be allowed, or I think there should be steps taken to reduce this type of a propensity for off-reserve sales, but trying to avail of the no tax situation.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
David, we could talk to you for an hour. We could talk to you for 2 hours. You're obviously extremely knowledgeable about all of this and the state of the cannabis industry, both globally and here in Canada right now. So how do we find you? How do our listeners find you to reach out to you if they'd like to touch base with you?
Yeah, and
in
who
person?
should be reaching out to you? Like, who is your because I've
Who's your
seen you.
perfect
You're doing a
client?
lot of deals. You're helping a lot of people out. If they come on, they need to move some stuff. I see they're always coming to you for that, and you're very able to connect people, and help them out. And I mean, you're somebody who had a very big influence in even setting up the rules here in Canada, working, initially with those LPs, right? So, what is it like? Where do you see the next kind of frontier? Like, are you seeing where?
So not who's your client? Where are you seeing the next frontier?
Yeah, like where is the wave going, or where's the meta going? Because you're always at the forefront of it.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I think it is challenging now. And I think what we're seeing is the people that have a plan, they're not lurching into the next step or taking desperate moves, but they're actually stopping, having a plan and navigating these tough times.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's important. There are people coming in the industry. Look, if it was who got in first, then the Canopies and the Auroras would have won the battle.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
they didn't.
And
Because
they
they didn't. And there's a reason for that. It's a very, very tricky environment. So we are seeing people come in, and people now bringing in new value propositions, new ways to navigate the market. How people can get hold of us, we're on Twitter, I'm on LinkedIn. Hyde Advisory and Investments is kind of the main company, www.hydeadvisory.com. But we have a little ecosystem of companies that we've set up as the market's kind of moved around.
Mm-hmm.
We have kind of navigators who do licensing and compliance. We have Cannabis Market Space,
Mm-hmm.
which looks at used equipment and servicing in the industry and the next events and all. I mean, you guys, this event, we put it on there. We promote the industry.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of work gets done in Cannabis Market Space. And used equipment is a big focus now with LPs unfortunately closing down.
Mm-hmm.
And we really do a lot of work on the global side. So we have a group called Cannabis Global Consultants, and we're helping people to navigate their way into these global markets and how to avoid some of the pitfalls really from Canada.
Well, that's
and how
it. You
to
have the
drive
experience, and by dealing with all the customers you have dealt with and helping them, it's good to have somebody on your side that can help you not make mistakes and save time, right? So, that's awesome.
So true. Yeah, we spend about half our time just talking to people about their businesses, what's happening, etc. We're always up for a chat. We don't charge by the minute when we're or by the hour when we're chatting to people about these issues. But we take on mandates where it makes sense and where people want to work with us and etc. And we just we love this industry. A
When
lot
you
of
say
people have
we,
moved away.
Do you mean the husband and wife team?
I definitely will include my lovely wife,
Yeah.
Pauline, who's really been the unsung hero of all the things that we've built. And now Cannabis Market Space is Pauline's brainchild, and we're really proud of what she's done there and the service that provides to the industry. So she's a huge part of what we do, of our success, for sure.
Thank you for chatting with us. Thank you so much. And thank you for always, you've been on the show a bunch of times. You've supported us since the beginning. Like, it's one of my first interviews was David Hyde. So thank you so much for joining us on the Green Room here at the Cannabis Wiki Conference and Expo in London, Ontario. Peace.
Peace.
Thanks.
We're always fresh and a little bit sticky. The Green Room on Cannabis Wiki.